Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of EPI Town Crier. And that is for Sunday, July 14th, 2024. And the title of today's show is 2024 election, America's last chance, question mark. And yeah, that's a big, tall question, and we will get to that. But today I'm joined by author and TLB content contributor Joseph M. Leonard, who has been helping this project out for some time. And we will get an update from him, and I will invite him in soon as I get through the normal opening for this show. And I always seem to have a great discussion with Joseph. I think today will be absolutely phenomenal. This podcast is sponsored by TLBTalk.com. Come and say what needs to be said. And for all of you who have been waiting for TLB Talk to come back online, it did come back online as of the 1st of July. Please, if you are a member, just go sign back in. If you're not, go check it out. What we have done is put together probably one of the most interesting social media platforms you have seen, period. And it not only has a lot of capabilities you won't find in most of the other social media platforms, but it's on its way to even bigger, better, faster. TLV Talk had to be taken offline specifically because its main software, the main code for that program had been written a long time ago and had to be upgraded. And in order to do the upgrade from that level, it had to be offline. So for 2 months, everything has been taken all the way up to the top level. So going forward, you will get bigger, better, faster every chance we get without having to inconvenience you with shutting the site down each time. Not only that, but we do have some special things in there for you. In about another week or two at the most, you will have a full blown chat that will allow you to do conference calls, video and audio, that type of thing. And also doing, some basically some radio shows, live streaming from your account on TLV Talk as well. So these are the things that are on their way. And when you take a look at the way the platform looks now, you will see that it's come a long way in the last 2 months. So if you get a chance, log in and enjoy it. Also, I am your host for anybody who doesn't know, and my name is Roger Landry, TLB. And my guest today, as I had stated, is Joseph M. Leonard. Joseph is a TLB project contributing writer slash author, the author of several books and counting. Joseph is also a #1 Amazon bestseller and a friend of mine. So let's start this off with this, okay? This is my intro for Joseph: honor, integrity, patriotism. For some people, these are just words. For best-selling author Joseph M. Leonard, these are the core values that he embodies every day, deeply ingrained in every facet of his life and work. And in the spirit of my past introductions to my discussions with Joe, from uniparty politics to the slaughter of parental rights, and from a compromised president to an American intentionally coming apart at her seams, this is a discussion that voices issues that should have everyone concerned about America's path forward. Well, Joseph, that's a mouthful. And how are you today, sir?
Oh, a couple doing okay, right? Like I always say, and I have my characters say in my book because it's been my life philosophy for decades. In my Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You book, things could always be better, but they could be
It could
worse.
always be worse. I knew
Right?
that was coming, Joe. But hold on
Yeah.
a second. What I would like to do is set the stage here. Some of the newer, people who follow the Liberty Beacon Project may not know who you are. It's been a while since we've done a show. You do publish an article every single week on the Liberty Beacon, and that is well read. But for those who don't know you, those who have never heard one of these shows, we try to do at least a couple a year. Let them know who you are. Let them know the books you have already published, and let them know the last one and the why fors.
All right.
Why have you written, and why do you continue to write? And Roger's going to try and shut up for a few minutes.
Well, first two things, because you know me, I can never resist lame puns or teasing. So it's very nice that you admit to us being friends, because I usually avoid admitting you're my friend.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm bumps.
just in good fun, just a
I got
loving.
it.
Yeah. Well, just to
I got it.
make sure the audience knows, just a loving
No,
jab at
no,
my
no, no, no,
friend.
no, no. I got it. And there'll be a package at your front door in a couple of days. Don't worry.
And then the other thing, of course, is the show being Town Crier. I will do my best to make sure I make somebody during this episode cry. Yeah.
I knew that was coming. Oh. Okay, so about you, please.
Yeah. Well, born and raised in Southeast Michigan, and even though I hate the winters, I do stay here, the whole family and friend thing. And although I like spring and fall better, summers can be too hot, winters can be too cold. I do like the idea of the four seasons. So, I stay. I put up with it, even though I'd love to move to like Vegas. But
I grew up in Lorain, Ohio, right on Lake Erie. Do you think I might know what you're talking about? Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
right on Lake Erie. I could throw a rock from my house and it would go splash into Lake Erie.
Yep. Yeah. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
And I'm on disability now, been since 2004. So, but I've always written. My dad, Thaddeus M. Leonard Jr., had a band, the Polka Kings. They had a three record. Yeah, they had a 3-record deal. You could still find their albums, or an 8-track, if you can find an 8-track player to play it on. of their stuff today. And at tearstrikes.info, I have / the Polka Kings if you want to go see my tribute page to him. But so I was born into creative lineage. So yeah, I wrote and recorded music, but it never amounted to a record deal. So I just, kept continuing to write short stories, poetry, novels. I hold like 3-4 dozen copyrights, but I now have 5 internationally available books. So my dad has his legacy. I now kind of have one that will go past my days on this planet, right? The first international published book, called Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You, which is not just about foreign terrorists. It's about American fascocrats, as I know I call them.
That's actually a coined phrase from this guy. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but them destroying us from within. So yes, about terrorism, but not really about death, but life and living, and trying to preserve our republic, our meritocracy, not democracy, ineptocracy.
Wait a minute. You trying to tell me America's not a democracy? Oh, come on. That's what my teachers are telling all of our great grandchildren and our grandchildren and our children. They're all being told that. They're all being told that we live in a democracy.
Yep.
And what none of them are being told is that our founders were absolutely 100% dead set against the United States being a democracy, and ensured beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't the rights of the majority that were protected, but the rights of the individual that were protected.
Absolutely. Amen. And which led to my second international book, because as I was doing shows to promote terror strikes coming soon to a city near you, a couple dozen shows would say, hey, why don't you just come back and talk in general about writing and publishing? So, of course, the light
Came
bulb
on.
came on over my head. I went to Amazon, and of course, there is a bazillion. How do you put your book on Amazon? Which you don't need to buy a book for that. You could just read the Amazon help files to learn how to do that. But there wasn't a good how to conceive it. How do you write it? How do you develop characters, theme development, the actual publishing options, the pie in the sky ones, send
The
it
flow
out.
of the story. Yes.
Yeah. Send it out to publishers and hope they will pay you bucks up front to publish. Not likely. So your real alternatives of self-publishing, or as I call the better ones, assisted publishing. And of course, you're not done then. You've got to market and promote, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't give that title, did I? So I put out how to write a book and get it published, hints, tips, and techniques. Now, anyone listening in this audience is not interested in writing their own book. Okay. Think of it instead then for you as a behind the scenes, a tell-all, where I don't drop any Kardashian names though. What does an author go through for that book to be there for you to be able to buy and read? So it's for writers and non-writers. It's for writers and readers, which then led to my thinking, I'm writing an article every Saturday for thelibertybeacon.com. Why don't I create a corresponding podcast show? So I created Constitutionalist Politics podcast that correlates, conjuncts, corresponds with the weekly TLB, thelibertybeacon.com drops there. So the show complements the article complements the show. They're not identical. And then beyond that, I took some of the articles and put them together as Constitutionalist Politics, the book.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you send me those articles each week, is that what that red stuff is up at the top? Is that the relation to a show or a podcast you've recorded?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you want presented to the audience?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I just put it in there for my own notation purposes, and of course to let you know what the relative word count is, how many images, how many
that
videos.
I appreciate.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody listening here, you're dealing with somebody who has published books. When they publish articles on this platform on a weekly basis, and everything is done in an orderly fashion, in an orderly time, nothing is late, there's never a need to panic. Yeah. Then you're dealing with a professional. Someone like Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
And so that led. Oops, sorry, the microphone dropped. So that led to people.
Oh, so you just had a mic drop? Oh,
okay. I'm wearing a Razer gamer headset, the earphones and the microphone, since people can't see it. But I'm kind of moved about and hit the microphone. It's like, well, wait a minute, they're not going to be able to hear me. I got to put that microphone back. But at any rate, that led them to talking to people about podcasting. So in May 1st of this year, just a couple months ago, I came out with like how to write a book and get it published, hits, tips, and techniques.
Yeah.
Podcasting quick start guide to tell people, you know, as if we don't got enough competition, right? But hey, if you've considered doing a podcast, I let you know how you could kind of do one startup, low key, low cost. Then, if you see you want to continue doing it and you're getting an audience, you want to improve it, then you can spend the extra money. I go into all that. So don't start off dropping 20 grand. I can explain it all in there. Podcasting quick start guide. All of these, of course, available on Amazon. Yeah.
I have over the years, let me see, I started the Liberty Beacon Project probably about not quite 15 years ago, but about 16, almost 17 years ago. This was called We the People Network, before it became the Liberty Beacon. In those years, Joe, if you figure I averaged about 5 shows a week, okay, and you average that over about 12 to 15 years. Oh my God. How many times have I gotten in front of all of these people and said things that frustrate me? How many times? And do you know what? People like you and I, we're going to be there tomorrow to do it again, because you and I firmly believe if we can affect the brain of 10 people and they can go out and affect the brain of 10 people each, within a month, we have succeeded in spreading our word far and wide. It doesn't have to be 1 million people listening to everything you say. It has to be dedicated people listening to you and willing to go out and say what they've learned from
Exactly.
you.
Oh, it's like the old Pantene ad. They tell 2 people, then they tell 2 people, then they tell, right? It's the exponential. It's not the how many actually listened to this episode. It's how many, like on Twitter, as I call them now, X, right? The Twitter attention span. Both my at J Leonard Detroit and at J Leonard author accounts, both currently suspended there. I give up on them. I'm not wasting any more time with X. Both of those got banned after Elon took over. So don't get me started on Elon is a free speech guy. He's
hold on a second. You're not only right, but hold on a second, because you just segued into what I need to talk about before we're done with this show. And what does Roger need to talk about before we're done with this show? Roger needs to talk about TLB Talk, and you just gave the reason. And as soon as we get back from this break, and we're going to take a 1-minute break, I'm going to give you a commercial for TLB Talk. We'll be back in a minute. All right. So for anybody, like I said, who have been waiting and hasn't seen the notice, yes, TLB Talk is back up and running. Believe me, bigger, better, better, faster. Go there and say what needs to be said. But the whole point here is this, and I want to segue over to this, Joe, and get your opinion, because when this closes down, this show today, I want this to have been a point we made very clear. And this is the point I'm talking about. The 2024 election, okay? Y'all heard the title. Y'all know what the name of the show is. The 2024 election, people, is that America's last chance? What we are looking at is what I can tell you is more than likely the most important election since the American Civil War in the last century and a half. This is where we stand right now, people. And if we are not awake and aware as to what's going on in America, if another election gets stolen from us and stuffed in our face with a, well, what are you going to do about it? Then we don't do anything, just shut up and go away because we got what we asked for. Listen to what I'm about to say, and I'm going to turn this over to Joe for his opinion, okay? What I'm about to tell you is this. We need to be extremely aware of what is going on, more aware than in any other election procedure in modern history. I'm telling you this right now. You need a place where you can go and talk about this. You can't do it on Twitter or X. You can't do it on Facebook. You can't do it on Instagram. The only way you can't do it on TLB Talk is if you're saying something illegal. Because if you're just saying something stupid, everybody's going to block you, and that's what the block button is for. They're not going to kick you to the curb. So if you need to talk about the most important election in the history of this country in the last 150 years, TLB Talk may be your only choice. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah. First, twatter again. It's why I got booted, because it's not necessarily the amount of your followers, as we talked about.
Agreed.
This podcast, or how many read your article, is how many share, and that information exponentially growing out there beyond you. Like, my Jay Leonard Detroit, which that's what I am under almost every social media platform,
Right.
and including the video ones, my video channels. Leonard looks like Leonard. It's not French. There's no O in Leonard. So Jay, the initial J for Joseph, Jay Leonard Detroit across most media. But my Jay Leonard Detroit X account, back then, Twatter, had 250,000 followers. But I used the tools that mined X, and I could see that my posts, many of them, were reaching in excess of 8 million people by quotation or retweets and or whatnot, right? So you don't think that, hell, I'm going to do a podcast, but I only see 10 people are tuning in. Well, you don't know who those 10 people talk to, who then may talk to 10 more and 10 more, as Roger pointed out.
I know. Hold on one second. I need to call you out on something, okay? That little French thing you said. My name happens to be Roger Raymond Francis Landré. So what was that about French? No, I'm kidding. No, I do have a French name, but I was joking.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right with what you just said. You're exactly right. Okay. But go ahead. You were about to say something.
Yeah, one last thing. The last book, my 5th international book, is Constitutionalist Politics 2, that just dropped.
That was the question I was about to ask you.
July 1st, or no, June 1st. Podcasting Quick Start Guide came out May 1st. Constitutionalist Politics 2 came out June 1st. So that gets us up to date on the books. But yeah, every election, somebody or another says, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Well, you aren't engaging in hyperbole, my friend.
No, I'm not.
When you say the most important election since potentially the Civil War times. I mean, it really is now. Obama started OBAMAO. Obama started the destruction, and Biden is trying, the third term of Obama, trying to destroy, fundamentally transform our republic into.
Yes, hold on. I would tend to agree with 99% of that, and I can hear it in your voice, 99%, which means that's damn good. But I would dare to tell you this started with Papa Bush.
Yeah, well,
and then went to Baby Bush, and then went to Obama was the guy who was supposed to put it right in our lap. Hillary Clinton was supposed to come in her 8 years and take America to its knees, because you can't have global governance. Roger says this on every show, until you take the cowboys of the world to their knees. So Hillary was supposed to be there to take us to our knees after Obama. They never expected Trump to win. He won. He set them back 4 years. Now they will do just about anything to ensure they don't get set back another 4 years.
Yeah, he was the fly in the ointment. Then we need him.
Duh!
We need him as the fly in the ointment again, because yes, I mean this has been all incrementalism, and people, I don't have TDS, but I don't have BDS either, and I'm certainly not a Trump cultist. No person on this planet is perfect.
Nope.
Period. No one. None.
Trump has been bailed out by guess who? What's the name of the biggest family on the planet with the most money? Yeah. Listen to me, people. Trump has been bailed out by the deep state, the global deep state, 3 times. But if you have to have somebody, then it's best to put your money on the bad boy on the block. Why? Because his reputation is in bucking the people you absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt have anything but your good at heart.
Yeah, but my point here is that there are snowflakes on both the left and the right.
Yes, yes.
I know some right-wing snowflakes that are only emotionally hysterical beings.
Yes.
They can't think for themselves. They just parrot talking points.
Yes.
But, if they're on our side, that's not a bad thing. But, I prefer them all to think. But that, Trump cultism isn't going to save anything either, because
but again,
one man can't.
Nobody should believe this guy is perfect. When the Rothschilds have bailed you out, you're not perfect. But again, you and I have to settle on one point. Okay, we need the least destructive person in that office right now.
But my point I'm going to is, and I wrote a piece on thelibertybeacon.com, Reagan, right? The Reagan years, remembering Reagan and the comparisons. Reagan couldn't do it all either, but he had some conservative Democrats still existed back then willing to work with him, even though he never ever had a GOP control of the House and only 2 years control Republican of the Senate. Like 80 and 84, we need too big to rig.
And they tried to get rid of him too.
But down ballot. You've got to have more MAGA-related Republicans also, because the only way to do this is legislatively. I call out illegal executive orders. It doesn't matter if you got a D or an R by your name. It's got to be done and legally to last. And to do that, we need to try for a filibuster-proof U.S. Senate, but the likelihood of that happening in 20 is 0, and the likelihood of happening in 2024 is 0, and 2026 even getting more is also slim to none, unless, which I've also wrote about on thelibertybeacon.com, will real Christians save America? Supposedly 30 to 50 million supposed Christians. Now, obviously, not all of them are genuine Christian, but let's say 75% of them are Christitutionalists, as I call myself. And if 75% of 50 million would get off their lazy hindsides and at least vote, but voting ain't enough. Prayer alone, another article I wrote on thelibertybeacon.com, and part of my Christitutionalist Politics 2 book, is prayer alone enough? No, shall be known by your fruit. You must sow to reap. Those mean get off your butt. Do things. But if only 75% were real Christians and understand the difference that Jesus wasn't a socialist, community is biblical. That's voluntary. That's charity. Communism is forced. It's theft. It's redistribution. It is not biblical. If 75% of the 50 million got off their butt, it would be too big to rig. They couldn't cheat enough to beat us.
I totally agree. And I need to bring a point up right now, okay? Okay, that everybody needs to understand. If you thought I was the only person who made his points like this, if you thought I was the only, why do you think I brought him on? Did you think I brought him on my show today just so that he could help you out and give you important information? No, I just wanted you all to know I wasn't the only person that acted.
Yeah. On my Constitutionalist Politics podcast show.
Oh yeah.
I try to remain calm, but
try.
even on my
work.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore type rant episode, I still, like you, always deal in truth, fact, evidence, reality, not opinions based on unicorn fart, delusion, fantasy, snowflake, garbage.
Okay, listen.
Feelings, nothing more than feelings.
All right, hold on a second, because I want to make one more point. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes here. I want to make one more point here, and I want to carry this through to the end of the show. All right, we have already stated, you and I both, that this could very well be the most consequential election in the last 150 years in this country. And that is very easy to show. If people would just sit back and do a little research, everybody would understand this. What I'm about to say is we know for a fact that the election in 2020 was stolen. It's not a guess. We've got 2,000 mules. We've got images of in Georgia of suitcases being pulled out from underneath desks after they send everybody home. And not only did they count the ballots in the suitcases, but they counted them multiple times.
Yep.
So we know exactly what happened.
Same happened in Detroit. Same in Detroit. Yeah. Same in Detroit. Let me
get through this, and then I want you to reply. But let me get through this, okay? What we're looking at right now in this situation here is we have allowed, because Americans didn't push this hard enough, we have allowed that election to be stolen, even knowing unequivocally that it in fact was. We have allowed this. We have not pushed it. If we do the same thing in this election, if they steal another election, and it is obvious even to the most casual of observers that it was stolen, and America does nothing, then all of this stuff needs to go away. All the shows we're doing, everything, all of these websites need to go away. Why? Because we haven't got the backbone to back up what we know has happened. And that is that this republic has been stolen from us, and it doesn't exist as our children are being taught anymore. What do you think, Joe?
Couple things on that. One, my friend, former Michigan senator, state senator, not U.S. senator, Patrick Colbeck, has a book called The 2020 Election Coup. I do highly recommend that, as well as obviously my own books.
Yes.
But I always say on social media, never before, I'm reading this, so I get it right, because I cut and paste it all the time. Never before in the course of human history, via online sources, has humanity had such access to facts and truth readily available at their fingertips. Sadly, too, conversely, never before prolific access to falsehoods. They can engage in confirmation bias to feed their delusions and preferred narratives, many preferring lies. And I think I put that in my CTP2 quotations chapter. And like you said, if we lose, and I wrote this, there's an article on thelibertybeacon.com from me about net neutrality. It's coming back, and it's a censorship bill. Like everything the left and the deep state does, they put a phony title and a fake intention. Oh, this is about making free and available access for all to the internet. No, it's about giving the feds ability to censor anything, anywhere they want, anytime, any reason. It's a censorship play.
Well, look, anybody who doesn't know what he's talking about, just think back to the Patriot Act, which is probably one of the most unpatriotic acts ever passed in this country. But Joe, you've got about a minute here. Let everybody know what you want them to know. Let's say goodbye. I knew I was going to enjoy this. I have. I really have. And we need to do this a little bit more often so that the rest of our membership, the rest of our following can stay up to date on what you're doing.
Yep. Two things. Christitutionalist Politics Podcast, available 20 plus audio platforms, 4 different video platforms. It sounds like there's an A in there, but it's an I, Christitutionalist. Christa kind of derived from Christos, Greek. So Christitutionalist Politics, and my website, Joseph M. Leonard, again, not French, not Leonard, Leonard without an O. Joseph
What's what you say about those French?
JosephMLeonard.us is one of the easiest ways, of course, to find me, because, of course, if you look for my articles via Google, you won't find them. I'm pulling
Unless you go to the Liberty Beacon and type his name into the search bar, in which case you'll find them all.
All my before it's news pieces that I wrote for years before coming to the Liberty Beacon, and I still do write. And in fact, I just dropped one at Before It's News today called Clickbait Here, Clickbait There, Everywhere Clickbait, as well as I used to write for Red State and other places before.
Okay. Very, very good. All right, my friend. Look, like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I appreciate your time, and we're going to do this again soon. Actually, the next time you may hear the two of us together, we have been invited to do a show with you.
Yes.
And that is myself and Puck, and with relation to the Zoomers to Boomers show.
I love that concept. It is absolutely needed to draw both younger, midlife, and older, all the audiences together to get occasionally different perspectives. Yes, Zoomer and Boomer is, that's perfect. Which is why I want you two on my show. We've got to have that perspective on my show and to promote that show.
Very, very good. And thank you very much for being here. And for everybody listening, this has been another EPI Town Crier. And what is EPI? That's what we try to do, people. It's eradicating programmed ignorance. Y'all have a great day, and please stay safe.
And I hope we made some snowflakes cry.